All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Ultimate Book Club of Book Clubs. We are reconvening tonight for a discussion of The Bachelor and the Bride. I wasn't originally actually intending to do a book club that kind of had slipped my mind, but I had a lot of people ask if I was going to do it because they want to be able to talk about this book without giving away spoilers. So we threw together a date, and here we are. As with previous gatherings of our Ultimate Book Club, I have a prize I'm going to give away for the person who is joining us from the closest to where I am right now, and the person who is joining us from the furthest away from where I am right now. So as you're popping in and joining us, let us know in the comments where you are joining us from. And this is one of the prizes that I will give away after the fact. I'm going to announce all of our winners on Thursday. Some will be chosen live tonight. Some will be chosen before that. And this is one I'm going to wait on. So if people are joining us, a few hours from now, because maybe they're in a different time zone, they can still join in. And the prizes for that is a set of Dread Penny Society stickers. We have the Dread Penny Society members themselves drawn in the style of the 19th century Penny Dreadfuls, a quote from the book, "I can't think of anyone I'd rather untimely die with." And this sticker that is the Dread Penny Society motto. So those will be going to people, the one person who's the closest and the person who is the farthest away. So go ahead and pop that in. I'm watching your comments come in, and it's fun because we're from all over. So that's fantastic. All right. We are going to have prizes tonight, and we're going to play games, and I'm going to do a question and answer. This little scrolling thing on the bottom is going to warn people. We will have a lot of spoilers tonight for this book. So if you haven't read it yet and don't want it to be spoiled, maybe come back to this video later. This is a chance for people to talk about the book, which people have wanted to do for quite a while. So with that, we're going to play our very first game, which I'm excited about. I think first introduced this game on the very first book club of book clubs I ever did. That one was for the book The Gentleman and the Thief, which was the second book in the Dread Penny Society series. It released kind of in the height of COVID, really. It was late 2020. Everything was still shut down. We hadn't done any kind of events. And I wanted to be able to acknowledge somehow that this book had been released. And this was the idea I came up with, people gathering together with their book clubs, even if that was a book club of one, in a virtual setting, and joining other book clubs from all over for a gigantic book club. And it's been so much fun. I think I've done it for most of my releases since then. So there you go. All right. So our very first game, the one we're going to play that I started back then, is the emoji game. The way we do this is I go on social media before the book club convenes and ask people to describe in a comment using only emojis one of my books. It can be clues from the plot, or it can be the title represented in emoji, but I'm going to pop them up. They've been chosen at random, and see if I can guess what they are. So I'm excited about that. Play along in the comments because I'm going to be drawing a winner both live tonight and Thursday morning before I post our prize winners. Winners of, my dog's in here, winners of a couple of prizes. I've gathered up some great prizes for tonight. So I will draw one live winner tonight and then one later on. So we're going to play. I'm going to pull those up and see if we can figure out what they are. Sometimes I do really good at this game, and sometimes I'm really bad at it. So we'll see. Here, I'm going to pull the dog's bed over so he will be calm and quiet while we're playing. All right, here we go. Okay, this one was posted by Jazzerbones. Okay, let's see. How to pull this over. All right, a train. Party. Someone is, I think that emoji is meant to be like afraid or scared. And then running. I think that's a sponge. Is that what that is? I can't tell. Two doctors. Happy love hearts. Someone's sick. Someone else is sick. Someone's horrible. I think that's a judge. free, and then happy house, which I think actually might be a chapel, like a church. Okay. Oh, okay. I think I know what it is. We'll see if you guys agree. I think this is Healing Hearts from my Sheriffs of Savage Wells series, because the heroine arrives in town on a train and there's this big party and she thinks, yay, I'm so welcome here, only to find out the party is actually her wedding and she unknowingly is a mail order bride. She thought she had just been hired to do a job. I think that's what it is. Because the two doctors, he's a doctor and she's a nurse, so that makes sense. There is a horrible, awful, evil person, which can be the purple, like devil emoji. A judge does come to town toward the end of that. Okay, yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to check the comments and see. Okay, so everyone else is guessing too. So I think I'm right. All right, let's grab the next one. Okay, Christina Hansen Sanders. This one came out a little blurry, but I think we can tell what it is. It's a printer and the Irish flag. Oh, oh. Okay. I was like, that's so weird. I don't think I have any Irish printers. Okay, no, we have a printer, and someone who's Irish. In The Merchant and the Rogue, Vera is a book printer, like a Victorian era one, and then Brogan, who's the hero of that book, is Irish. Right? That's got to be what it is, right? I'm gonna look at your guys' comments. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing lots of Merchant and the Rogue. I think that's it. Okay, for a minute I thought, oh, I've got to be mistaking this because printers are so modern. That was really, really creative. Good job. All right, let's see what the next one is. Okay, Melody Hanks Twitchell. So we have a gal dancer and a guy dancer, and a wedding ring, diamond ring, sad face, an ear emoji. I just see darkness. I don't know what that middle emoji is supposed to be. A bride. A suitcase, plus divide, a mountain, the girl dancer and guy dancer again. Oh, it's just pixelated enough I can't tell what that flag is. Another sad face, a suitcase, a bridge, and love. I don't know this one. Oh, okay. I'm going to admit I cheated. I saw lots of charming Artemis, which I kind of guessed at, but it didn't quite fit. I think because I saw Leslie Black's comment on here that it might be Forget Me Not. And I think that's right because it's at a ball that their betrothal is first announced. And then, like, they're sad about it. But Julia is especially sad because no one will listen to her. The dark, like, black squares because she wears black to her wedding, which is like the next emoji. The suitcases is because of traveling, and that becomes an issue. And the two dancers, it's at another ball where she finds out that Lucas is going to go on a trip to Portugal, which I think is probably what that flag is. And the bridge, there is a bridge scene in this book. I think that's what it is, right? It's got to be Forget Me Not. Oh, that was brilliant. I'm telling you, if you aren't playing this game with your book clubs, you're missing out. I love this game. All right. Ooh. Okay, we're going to see what the next one is. Okay. So we have a little girl and a coffin and a gravestone and a ninja and a girl running, a doctor. Okay. I have two books that feature doctors, so those are possibilities. What looks like probably a chapel. Broken heart, girl running again, the doctor. Gold, I think is what that is. And the girl, a bride, a horse, a shopping cart, a coffin, a timer, and a heart emoji. And I read them out loud, so if someone's joining us who would benefit from hearing the visuals described, that's what I'm hoping that will do. Okay. Well, I think this one has to be The Bachelor and the Bride, right? Because of my two books that feature doctors, The Bachelor and the Bride is the one that also talks about death and coffins and burials, right? So it's got to be it. Let's see if you guys agree with that one. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of Bachelor and the Bride. I think that's what it is. And once you know that's what it is, this is the plot of the book spelled out in emoji. So good job. Okay, we got another one. Okay, this is our last one. So I will pick a live winner from someone who gives the correct answer to this next one. And then I'll draw a winner afterward on Thursday from all of the comments we got on this game. So here's our last one from Monica Loves a Good Story. Okay, we have a top hat, a heart, a straw hat with a ribbon, a chapel. I think that's what that is a chapel. An older man and an older woman, a thumbs down, another top hat, the no symbol, straw hat with a ribbon, broken heart, Christmas tree, top hat, arrow toward the straw hat with a ribbon, what looks like a hospital, a letter, a magnifying glass, the top hat again, a black heart, and the straw hat with a ribbon again. So the Christmas tree makes me think Christmas at Fallstone Castle or Holly and the Ivy, but most people won't have read that yet because it doesn't release until Monday. Oh, I don't know. This one has me stumped. Okay, I am going to award Monica Loves a Good Story the prize for the emoji game entry because I can't figure out what it is. I'm going to click over on the comments and see if you guys can fill me in. Oh, sorry, my dog is making so much noise. Okay, so I'm seeing lots of Christmas at Fallstone Castle, but I'm also seeing Glimmer of Hope. And I think that is what this one is. Because you have like the top hat like is fancy and the straw hat isn't as much, and she was considered beneath him when they married. His parents didn't like it, so thumbs down. So he wasn't with her, and that of course broke their heart. Glimmer of Hope takes place at a Christmas time house party. So Christmas tree, which brings the gentleman top hat together with the lowly lady. Hospital, I think, is more learning about her health condition, and letter, because he reads so many letters, right? He finds them, which can be the magnifying glass. And then he and his wife end up together again at the end, right? That's got to be it. I think it is. Okay, so I'm going to skim through here and pick someone live who answered that one correctly, because I do think it's Glimmer of Hope. Okay. What's coming up is Alyssa Marie Mangum. I'm going to write that down so that I remember who got it. And I'm going to let you know what the prize is. So, Alyssa, you have won a signed copy of The Thief and the Noble by Dana LaChaminade. I got to do a signing with her over the weekend, and I had her sign a book specifically as a prize for our exciting game here for the Ultimate Book Club. So you've won that live. I'm going to draw someone before Thursday who's going to win a copy of An Unlikely Match by me. This is a great autumn time read. It has Halloween vibes to it. So I will draw that and post the winner Thursday. And Monica Loves a Good Story is winning a prize for posting an emoji that was fabulous, but that still stumped me. And she is going to win a signed copy of A Proper Scandal by Esther Hatch. Esther was also at that book signing, and she signed a copy for me too to give away as a prize tonight. So good job, everyone, playing along with that. All right. We're going to pull this off and see what we have next. Okay. Oh, I need to let you know that everyone who comments on this book club tonight, I will be drawing a comment at random from both Facebook and YouTube, because we're going live in both places. And that person will win a signed copy of The Holly and the Ivy. If you get back to me on Thursday, I can probably get it to you before the release date on Monday. So, and this one was signed by Esther and Dana, and I'll sign it as well. We don't have Annika's signature on it because she wasn't at the signing, because she doesn't live in the same state that we were in, but signed by 3 of the authors. So that'll go out on Thursday. All right. Let's see what we have next. Oh, okay. A new game I have made up for tonight's book club. So here we go. I have in my office a lot of things, including a dog, that I keep around for various reasons. I have lots of books. I have lots of reference books and reference material. I have fun mementos. I have antiques that I've collected. But I also keep around my office things that remind me of books I've written or characters from them. So I'm going to share with you a few of those things from around my office that I keep around because they remind me of characters from this series. So your challenge is to figure out who the character is that thing is connected to. Jillian says she can see Wyoming Wild back here on the shelf, just taunting everyone. It comes out in March. That's the arc. All right, so I'm going to show you some items, and you got to figure out what character they're connected to, and they're all characters from this series, so that should be a good hint. The first one is this little tiny candlestick holder. It is from the 19th century, so it's an antique. I love it. It was made with this little slot where they would put in a box of matches, so they'd always have it with them. And though this character would have carried a much smaller candle, that's how it works. The candle sits right in there. Isn't that great? So, got to ask who from the Dread Penny Society series is this item a reminder of? And I will draw a winner from this game on Thursday. So, pop those guesses in there. I'll tell you at the end of the game what the answers are, but I'm not going to tell you right now so people have a chance to guess. All right, the other thing I have, which I found at an antique shop and I just love, are these. They're typeface. I couldn't think of the word. Typeface from a late 19th century printing press. And you can't really see it super well because of the lighting, but it says B and V. So that's a little clue for you. But they sit on my desk or on my shelves right over there as a reminder. Now, there's more than one character these could be a reminder of, and both of them will count as correct answers. So I keep those around, which is really fun. Okay, this next one, I love antique books, and I have a good number of them, and that's what this is. But this book also reminds me of one of the characters in the Dread Penny Society series. This book was printed in 1860, which I just love. So that's when it's from. And the title of the book is, see if you can see it on there, Life of Lafayette. So it is actually about the Marquis de Lafayette, but it makes me think of one of the characters in these books. So who could it possibly be? All right. So someone's asking where Paul is. Paul usually joins me for game nights, but he's not usually here for the book club. So maybe I'll convince him to join us on the next one. All right. Okay, and the last item I have, this one sits on the very, very top of my bookshelves. It is this lovely, kind of feminine top hat. So, who could this one be? All right, so there's our 4 items. And let everyone put those in real quick, and then I will tell you the answers. I will draw by Thursday morning from everyone who gave a correct answer on any of these items, and they will win a copy of The Dreaming Beauty, which is Annika Walker's newest release. So I don't know if you noticed the theme tonight. They're all books by authors from this collection that comes out on Monday. So, ooh. So that'll go to someone who gives a correct answer in the comments. Okay, so if you're playing along later and haven't had a chance to put your guesses in and you want to pause it, go ahead. But I'm going to tell you the answers now. So my antique candlestick holder makes me think of Anna from The Gentleman and the Thief, because she has a very small one she keeps with her when she's out doing her Phantom Fox adventures. The typeface obviously makes me think of Vera, but also Brogan. Vera because she and her father run a print shop. So I guess you could have put her father too. And Brogan because he works there for a while. So that's what that makes me think of. The book Life of Lafayette makes me think of Hollis Darby because his pen name is Lafayette Jones. So there you go. And the top hat, of course, makes me think of Elizabeth Black, the final scene of The Lady and the Highwayman, when she wears a hat not unlike this and makes quite the entrance. So those are those items and who I associate them with. There are lots of things all over this office that are connected to different books and different characters. So it's kind of fun. All right. So I hope you guys got some of those right and had fun with it. Like I said, I'll draw a winner and post that Thursday morning along with the other winners. So keep my fingers crossed for you. And that's going to lead us to, I'm going to do this real quick because I didn't quite at the beginning. Like I said, this was originally envisioned a couple of years ago as a gathering of book clubs, whether that was an actual book club or one newly created or a book club of one. It doesn't really matter. But I always do a book club roll call where I ask you to let me know your book club's name, or if you're a book club of one, that it's you, and that you're here joining us for the book club of book clubs. And the winner, I'll draw randomly from all of those book clubs. Guys, my brain is so scattered tonight. I'm in the middle of an edit. Can you tell? I'm so brain fried. And that book club that I draw randomly will win the chance for me to meet virtually with your book club on any book of your choice sometime down the road. You just got to let me know when and which book, and we'll get together for that. So pop into the comments your book club name, or that it's you or it's your family, whoever it is that's joining us, and I'll draw that winner again Thursday morning. So pop on in. It's fun to see some familiar book clubs that have joined us before. Elizabeth Parker is saying it would be fun to do a tour of my office. That could actually be really fun. I make for some fun cutting room floor videos, huh? I feel like I could spend a whole video on just one shelf, on all of my various shelves throughout the office, because there's so many things. All right. Okay. Well, that leaves us with one more game we're going to play. And this one's also a new game, but I think it will be fun to play anyway. It's a game called 5-second summary. And I've seen it played on The Tonight Show, which is where I got the idea from. And basically, you have 5 seconds and then 3 seconds and then 1 second to describe. They do it with movies, but describe that and well enough for someone to guess what it is that you're describing. So I'm going to do that tonight. We'll do 3 rounds, 5 seconds, 3 seconds, and 1 second. I'm going to draw from my lovely little cup here the title of one of the Penny Dreadfuls that's found inside the Dread Penny Society books. There are 8 of those so far because each book has 2 Penny Dreadfuls in it. Jennifer's excited to see my dog. Yeah, he's being whiny tonight, so you may end up seeing a lot more of him than you want. All right, so I'm going to pull up my timer. This first one I'll have 5 seconds, and then you guys put your guesses in the comments. So here we go. All right. Okay, I've got 5 seconds. Street children who have to try and defeat a vampire, but they don't know it's actually a vampire. Okay. There goes all the 5 seconds I had. So put in the comments if you know which of the Penny Dreadfuls I was describing. I'm going to watch and see. Okay, I see a correct guess already. Okay, there's a whole bunch more coming through. Awesome. And some people are just putting who the author was. That's fine too. I don't expect you to remember every single title. Okay, fantastic. So I'm seeing lots and lots and lots of them. It was Fletcher's story, which is Urchins of London. So that was when I was describing there. Woo! All right. Looking to see what I have. Oh, okay. I have a prize tonight too. So when we get to the 1 second one, I will randomly pick a correct guess to win a copy of Her Country Gentleman, which is a Georgian era novella collection featuring myself, Shauna and Bessie, and Rebecca Connolly. So, woohoo. All right, so this next one is 3 seconds. See if I can describe one of these. Oh, okay. So the dog, the commenter who caught the dog is actually Lily, who I met at several of my Arizona signings. She's delightful. So hi, Lily. Okay, here we go. Here's our 3 second one. Oh, good grief. Okay. There's a creature in the forest who feeds on people's fears, and so you have to stay away from him. Okay. Who can guess that one? You only got 3 seconds worth of clues. Oh. Okay. So the clue I gave was a creature in the forest that feeds on fear, so you have to stay away from him. Okay, I'm seeing correct answers popping in now. Give me just a second to pop them up so that you have a chance to put your answers in. Okay. So a lot of you did guess this one correctly. It is the one that Elizabeth writes in the very first book. It is The Lady and the Highwayman. That's the name of the Penny Dreadful, as well as the book itself. So that's Mr. King's very first one that we get to read. So good job. Okay. So our very last round is 1 second, guys. I have 1 second to help you guess one more of the Penny Dreadfuls in this series. And I will randomly select live tonight someone who guesses the right answer. So here we go. Okay. Okay. All right, here we go. A school about how to be a ghost. Good grief. Okay. That's the fastest I think I've ever spoken in my life, which is saying something. So, a school where you learn to be a ghost. What is that one called? Who can remember? Ooh. Okay, people remember the author. That's fine too if you don't remember the full name of the actual Penny Dreadful. Okay, so lots of answers coming in. I'm gonna let those pop up for just a minute longer. It was written by Hollis under the pen name Lafayette Jones. The title of the story was Higglebottom's School for the Dead, which was so much fun to write. I have said since then, if I ever were to write like a full children's book, it probably would be an expanded version of Higglebottom School for the Dead because it was so much fun. So we're going to skim the comments to pick one at random. And our random winner is Holly Hill, who is commenting on Facebook. So Holly, I'm going to write your name down so I don't forget. You are going to win a copy of Her Country Gentleman. So there you go. All right. Oh, yay! A few people have said they would enjoy Higglebottom School for the Dead as a full-on book. That would be really fun, right? It could be interesting. All right, so that's our new game for tonight. That was kind of fun. I've thought about doing something similar for a game night down the road when I do game night again. I just have to get on top of my schedule. I have 2 manuscripts and 2 edits due before the end of the year. So it's going to be a little bit chaotic around here. I also have another 2 books releasing. So, all right. Okay, so those are our games. I am going to draw winners before Thursday morning of people who played along when I said there was, an after the fact prize as well. And of course, we'll draw a winner of the Holly and the Ivy from amongst people who have commented. So keep on commenting. Now's the point where you get to start asking questions and I'm going to answer them. We can actually be spoilery on this video tonight. So pop into the comments the questions you might have. Oh, the question is if I'm going to post winners on Instagram. Yes, I'll post them to Instagram and to my Facebook. So you should be able to find them there. They'll be posted Thursday morning. So, all right. Send me your questions. I'm ready to answer them. Oh, well, here's a question. Vicki Bushnell asked if the mug is the same design as the stickers from the Penny Dreadful characters. It is the same drawings, just arranged a little bit differently in the kind of a cityscape on the mug. Yeah. So yes, I love it. Okay, Katie Bowers wants to know, does the Dreadmaster write Penny Dreadfuls? Yes, indeed. Ooh. Kimberly wants to know, how did I get the idea to make Gemma's family resurrectionists? As I was studying both Penny Dreadfuls of this era, but also the criminal sort of underbelly of this era, one of the most interesting things that I came across was resurrectionists and grave robbers, and not only like the profession itself and how it worked and some of the things that went along with it, but the fear that it struck into the people of the Victorian era. So I just knew that it had to play a role in this series. And as I was formulating, I'm losing my voice already. As I was formulating the series, I knew that that's who Gemma's family were going to be. Let's see. How many more books in the Dread Penny Society? There will be one more in this core set of stories. I have not ruled out the possibility of a spin-off series. There are enough people in this society and enough really interesting stories out of Victorian London that I could do a whole other series too. So there you go. Let's see. Molly asks, when do we get to meet the Dreadmaster? You kind of do on the very last page of this book, but you're going to get to know some more about that in the next one. So Whitney wants to know, how does Brogan not recognize Maureen's handwriting? She disguises it. She's really, really brilliant. So like it's how it was kept a secret for so long. It's also, I think, it is one of the clues that I left as the series went on. The more you get to know Maureen, and you get to through the series books, you realize she's really, really smart and she's very observant. And how in the world would she not know that Brogan was up to something, right? Well, she does know, but she doesn't let on that she knows. So that was one of the clues I dropped along the way. Catherine says, did you know from the start that Serena would be evil? I knew who Serena was from the very, very beginning. And when she's first mentioned in funny backstory, The Gentleman and the Thief, my editor at the time said, I'm not sure why we're spending so much time with this housekeeper. We probably could cut that and, shorten it down or quicken the pace. And I said, you can't cut it. I promise you, you can't cut it. It's going to be very, very, very important down the road. So yes, I knew from the very, very beginning who Serena was and what she was up to behind the scenes. Charlotte wants to know, what was the research like for how to get out of the coffins? Not fun. How's that? There was definite research. I needed to make sure it could be done. And I needed to make sure that it was difficult, but still possible. And I don't like enclosed spaces, so I didn't like it, but I did it anyway. So Kara wants to know, were you influenced by the Penny Dreadful you read on YouTube in my choice to use a resurrectionist? I had already known I was going to use a resurrectionist. The fact that one showed up so prominently in Mysteries of London, which I read for the first year of the pandemic on YouTube, was just kind of a delightful coincidence, but it also ended up being really great research. So I already knew that it was going to play a role in it. And so it's just fun to see more of it. Christina's asking, why does Maureen keep her identity a secret? You will find that out in the next book. How's that for not answering a question? Leslie wants to know, how do you plan the Penny Dreadful stories and know which elements would be in it? The way it always works, Mr. King's story parallels the main story, and the other story gives us additional insights into that author's character and life and who they are. So those are the two roles that those stories play. In terms of what is going to be part of it, I had to step back and ask myself, if I were this character living in this time, having their experiences and their worldview, what story would I write? And that's what comes of it. It's what would they write and what would they want to know about. Mr. King always writes about some kind of supernatural creature or folk creature or mythology, because that was a huge part of the Penny Dreadfuls of the era. And I feel like if she was going to be, the top selling, highest ranked Penny Dreadful writer, she would be writing what was most popular at the time. And these over the top stories really were. So that's where hers comes from. We have a couple people asking if the Penny Dreadfuls within the stories are going to be published like an anthology so we can have them all together. Everyone cross your fingers, knock on wood, hold your breath, whatever you do to bring luck. It is a possibility, and I'm really, really hoping. All right, so we have a few votes for doing spinoffs of this main series to tell additional stories. Teresa wants to know if we're going to learn more about Serena's background. Yes, you are going to learn a lot about that. Oh, Tony wants to know if I have a picture of what a double coffin hearse looks like. I do have some, not like readily available, but that would make a really, really excellent cutting room floor. So I'm going to pull that up for one of them coming up down the road. All right. Jillian says, I literally screamed when I finished and I couldn't sleep because I was so excited. Yay. Is Maureen the main character of the next book? I am not going to tell you who the main characters of the next book are because I'm being mean. Christina wants to know if we're going to get more of Serena's backstory and how she became so powerful. Yes, we are. Absolutely. Whitney is asking, are Serena's kids some of Fletcher's urchins? You will also find out more about that in the next book. Kristen wants to know, does Maureen have to wear trousers when she's in the DPS headquarters? No, she does whatever she wants. Because no one knows she's there except for Fletcher, and he doesn't care. So, hey. So here's a question from A.L. Dirtschi, I think is how you pronounce the last name. Are you going to do the Dreadpenny Society origin story? That could actually be really, really interesting. You see my brain spinning now because I know who started it, who was there at the very beginning, and it could be a really interesting story, actually. I should write that down. Okay. Oh, so Tony wants to know, is Maureen's backstory the truth, or did she make it up to cover something? I'm not going to tell you. I'm the worst. The next book is exciting and fun and complicated and thankfully already written and all things I can't tell you. Let's see. Do I have any pictures of my characters as inspiration? I do. Again, not with me, but that would be another great cutting room floor. Erin says, thanks for pronouncing the name for us. I'm assuming she means Maureen. I don't pronounce it exactly the way the Irish do, but it's so similar to the anglicized version, Maureen, Maureen, that's basically how I pronounce it. Let's see. Oh, okay. So, I think it was up a little further. Becky had asked if the Gemma that we hear about in The Lady and the Highwayman is the same as Gemma in The Bachelor and the Bride. It actually isn't. But it was a very, very common name, especially amongst the working class of Victorian era London. So it's one of a couple of names that you're going to see repeated, but that's a good catch because it could have been, right? All right. Oh, Leslie says, I was so upset about Nolan's betrayal. Well, then buckle up. Such a mean answer, but whew. Okay. So Vicky wants to know, do we find out about Stone's romantic interest? You are going to learn more about Stone and the things he has not told people about in the next book. So Liz wants to know, when do you think the next one will come out? I am fully anticipating it being 2023. So everyone, again, fingers crossed. Aaron wants to know if Nolan actually is the spy. I'm not going to tell you. So bad. I just keep reading your questions and going, I don't know. Good question. Alyssa wants to know if the butler knows or knew who the Dread Master is. Not going to tell you that either. Linda wants to know, are we going to learn how the DPS got started or how it is funded? You are going to learn a lot about that. Maybe not literally everything about that, but you're going to learn more about it. Let's see. Sorry, the comments froze for a second. Here's another one, a ballpark on how long to wait for the next DPS book. Probably a year. I would guess it'll come out about this same time next year. Jessica is asking, have I ever considered writing suspense? This series is really my first tiptoe into suspense, and I don't think I'm terrible at it. So maybe, I don't know. Oh, okay. Oh, Ryan's hoping it's January of 2023 that the next one comes out. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Oh, okay. Kimberly wants to know if Nolan was a turncoat from the beginning or if that happened later on. Can't tell you that either. Oh, so Jennifer Folsom is asking, I think that might actually be Lily. I can't remember if that was you or not. The people get braces and jaw wideners and stuff to help straighten teeth. What did they do back in that day to straighten your teeth? They didn't. They could pull teeth, but that was really about all they could do. So you just had the teeth you were born with. Let's see. Alyssa wants to know. Yeah, okay, it was Lily with that question about the braces. Good question. But yeah, back in the day, you didn't really have dentists. You had teeth drawers because they would pull teeth. That's really all they did. So yeah. Woo-hoo. Alyssa wants to know, what can you tell us? I can tell you the book is written. I can tell you the next book is the last book in this core series, though I haven't ruled out the possibility of spinoffs. I can tell you most of the questions you have asked are going to be answered in that next book. Maybe not all of them, because I like to leave things up to the imagination, but quite a lot of them. Allison wants to know what color the cover is. I don't know yet. My dog's getting a lot of love in the comments. His name is Flash. When he was younger, he was very fast. He's now 15 and he's not so fast anymore. Let's see. Another question, how many in the series? It'll end up being 5 by the end. So the next one is the last one. I'm going to scroll back up and see if I missed anything. Okay, Kristen says there are 3 Gemmas throughout the story, the series. Yeah, Gemma was a very common name. I think there are a couple of Jennies as well. And can't remember how many Fannies there were, but I think there's at least a couple. So, and taken out of context, that's a very odd sentence. But yeah, because the names were so common, I would toss them out there just to kind of keep the feel of Victorian London, what it would have been. Okay, Leslie wants to know, will Elizabeth and Fletcher get married in the next book? Not going to tell you that either. So bad. I don't tell you guys anything. It's the worst. Oh, I will say I have known since the first book who was really the puppet master of London's criminal underbelly. I've known that, and I knew how the DPS was going to find out. That scene in the graveyard has been in my mind since I wrote The Lady and the Highwayman. And I also knew that on the very last page of the next to last book, you were going to find out who the Dreadmaster was in exactly the way you found out. So it was so fun to finally get to write it. Stacey's asking what years are considered the Victorian era. If you're going for the actual reign of Queen Victoria, there are very specific years. But when you're talking about a cultural era, it's a little less exact. So we say the Victorian era is about the 1830s through about the 1890s. So it's about 60 years in there. It, like I said, it kind of ebbs and flows when you're talking about a cultural era, but it's generally speaking the 1830s to the 1890s. Alyssa wants to know, how did the Mastiff get in the coffin? Can't tell you that one either. Autumn wants to know, is the DPS in the same universe as the Jonquils? No, it's not. And for various reasons, not the least of which is when you traditionally publish a book or a series with a publisher, that universe is the domain of that publisher. So anything you publish in that universe goes through that publisher unless they change their mind and don't want to keep going. So my Dread Penny Society books and my Jonquil books are published by different publishers. So they will always exist in separate universes. Becky wants to know, how will Gemma and Baz still do stuff when they are considered dead? Very carefully. How's that? You will get to learn more about that the next time. Melissa's asking if there will be a box set collection for these books. I don't think there will be. I haven't heard that there will be. I haven't heard that there won't, but I haven't heard that there will. Does that make sense? So I don't know. Tara wants to know, how did the Dreadmaster come about? I can't tell you that yet. Aubrey is asking, did you always know the Dreadmaster from when you started writing the series? I did. I did always know who it was. And so it took some doing, because I knew I needed to leave little clues, but I also knew Maureen is too smart to leave huge clues. So it had to be really, really subtle. And it was particularly hard in the first book because we're in Fletcher's head for part of that, and he knows who it is. So it's established at one point, I think he's having a conversation with Hollis where he says that he makes a point of never even thinking of the Dreadmaster in identifying terms, so as not to accidentally let it slip. So that's what I kind of had to tell myself, that Fletcher will always think of the Dreadmaster in as neutral and unidentifying terms as possible, and always speak of the Dreadmaster the same way. So that's one way we kept it. It kept it a secret, but there were little clues along the way, like Maureen never figuring out that Brogan was up to something. Of course she did. Maureen knowing everyone in the Dread Penny Society, but not being a member herself. Like, that kind of didn't make sense. The fact that she doesn't seem to hold a steady job, she's always working somewhere new all the time, because while she does do jobs on the side, she also writes Penny Dreadfuls, but she can't let Brogan know that. So that's a ruse. We know in The Merchant and the Rogue that the Dreadmaster has contacts in the Russian community in London. And we also find out that she speaks Russian, and Brogan didn't know that she did. So just these kind of little sprinkly clues in there. Spreen wants to know, could the Jonquil or Lancaster descendants make an appearance in the DPS world? No, they couldn't, because that's a crossover between series that are published by different publishers. That doesn't mean that in your own mind of this universe that they couldn't, but it won't ever officially happen on the page. Stacy's asking, in terms of cultural eras, does it go Georgian, Regency, Victorian? It goes Georgian, Regency, Romantic, Victorian, and the Romantic era is a transitional era between the Regency and the Victorian. So that the Romantic era is basically the 1820s, teeny bit of the 1830s. It transitions us between the two. So there you go. Okay. Trying to keep up. You guys are writing some and asking some great questions. Okay. So Leslie's suggestion is sending Paisley and Cade to England to help out the DPS. They probably would do a really good job. That book takes place 10 years after the Dread Penny Society books, but they could find something to do in England, right? Oh, Nancy is commenting on my dress in the background, asking if I put it on when I'm writing. I do sometimes dress up in historical clothes just around my house. This one happens to be Regency. It's one I wore at an event not too long ago, and it happens to be the one on my dress form. I haven't sewed in a while, but I leave it out as a fun reminder. Okay. Kim's asking when the next book will come out. It should be next year. Fingers crossed, everybody. Brittany's wondering where the nickname Baz came from. It doesn't sound much like how I pronounce his name. Yeah, Barnabas and Baz don't sound like nicknames, but Baz was a nickname for Barnabas in the Victorian era. I came across it really, really randomly, and I thought it was just perfect, especially for Gemma to call him that, because she has such a different connection to him than anyone else does. And it was a way of making it obvious that she saw more of who he is, because she knows who he was and where he came from and who he's working to become. And it's just, it's a unique connection between them. So I loved that. Okay. Christina is asking, will we learn why Maureen restricted access to the Dread Penny Society's membership to men? Sort of. I'm trying to think if it actually is mentioned, because I thought it was in The Lady and the Highwayman. Even if it's not, this isn't a huge spoiler. That I think it's pointed out by one of the others that it isn't actually in the bylaws that someone has to be male. They just had assumed that because they all were, which at the time was kind of an assumption of any kind of club. You had gentlemen's clubs, and you could have charitable organizations that women belong to, but not really clubs with clubhouses and stuff. So it was kind of an assumption. Okay, let's see. Aubrey wants to know if Brogan's going to be sad when he finds out that Maureen has been the Dread Master this whole time. Brogan will be something, and you're going to find out what. Teresa says, I found it interesting that both the Dread Penny Society and the Criminal Network are headed by a woman in disguise. That is going to play a role in the next book. Oh. Okay, and Aaron had asked how it was that Brogan didn't find out. Maureen made certain he didn't. She's really, really smart. Vicky wants to know what is Maureen's pen name and what type of story does she write. I can't tell you that. Sabrina wants to know which DPS member or character I relate to the most or is most like you. It's probably a good mixture of Elizabeth, Fletcher, and Maureen. I think if you could mix those three characters together, it would probably be a pretty good representation of me. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's see. Anna wants to know, how did Gemma's uncle know about Barnabas's mother? Because they make it their business to know everything. The Kincaid family is everywhere and knows a lot of things they shouldn't, especially if knowing that information can help them. It's one of the reasons they're so dangerous. So Ryan is saying most or all Penny Dreadful writers were men, right? So the DPS would be limited to men by that. Not all Penny Dreadful writers of the era were men. In fact, one of the most widely published, I guess, or with the most books published, was actually a woman. But she wrote under a pen name. It was kind of an inspiration for Elizabeth's character, kind of a jumping off point. So in real life, there were Penny Dreadful writers who were women, but the vast majority of them were men. So yeah, it almost defaults to that because that's who is actively and openly participating in it. Aubrey wants to know who owns the headquarters house. I can't tell you that either. Stephanie wants to know, does Vera ever get better? There are limits to how much better she can get because of the time period she lives in, but she is going to improve. Kimberly has asked if I've ever discovered any female Penny Dreadful authors, or are they all male? There are female Penny Dreadful authors from the era who, for the most part, wrote under pen names, but they did write. There were women, just not many. Annie is asking, oh, hi, Annie. I saw her last week. Do you have a hard time creating voices for the individual Penny Dreadful authors? Yes. It's so hard to shut off my author voice and step back and say, how would this character write this story and what would their voice be? But that's what I have to do in order to do it authentically. It's a huge challenge, but it's a lot of fun. Leslie is asking if Serena knows all the hiding spots and their identities, will Elizabeth even be able to publish Penny Dreadfuls? I imagine book 5 is utter chaos. I think chaos is a good way to describe it. We know from book 4 that Serena knows of the safe houses that Barnabas has created for the women that he has helped rescue. We know that she is aware of the identities of many of the Dreadpenning Society members. We know that there has been a mole in the Dreadpenning Society, which means she probably knows even more than that. So part of the next book will be, yes, figuring out how much damage has been done and how much their nemesis already knows. Corby Harrison is asking, who was the writer that Elizabeth was kind of inspired by? I cannot think of her name off the top of my head. That's another cutting room floor, right? Because I can't think of her name now, and it's going to drive me absolutely crazy. Tony is asking, why did Serena let Barnabas and Gemma leave after seeing her? It's a power trip, really. The message needs to be delivered to the Dreadpenning Society, and to have it delivered in a way that forces Barnabas and Gemma to reveal to a whole lot of people that they aren't actually dead, puts them in an increased danger. She gets to play with them a little bit because the fear that she causes and the power she has to manipulate people is part of the reason she does what she does. So yeah, it was just to make people suffer a little bit more. To have these people show up who not everyone in the DPS knows are even actually still alive, to announce that they've been wrong this whole time and they're in huge danger. Like, she can imagine the panic and the fear that causes, and she loves it. She's kind of a horrible person. All right. Okay. So we are about at the 1 hour mark. I try not to go more than an hour because we all have stuff to do. I will answer the last couple that are here. Someone had asked if I develop the plot ideas or character ideas first. I always start with character, and my plot grows from those characters. So for me, it's always character. Not everyone does start there, but I do. And another question I saw before it goes all the way. Shaylin is asking, do you write all 3 stories, the 2 Penny Dreadfuls and the actual novel at the same time, or write each one separately? I write the main story first, then I write Mr. King's story, and then I write the other Penny Dreadful. And then I adjust as needed to make sure that they fit. But while I'm writing the main story, I'll make a note to myself of where a good break would be to pop in one of the other stories, and build it from there. Because the Mr. King's Penny Dreadful needs to parallel the main story, so I can't really write it till I know what the main story is. And the other Penny Dreadful is meant to give us extra insights into that character, and so I need to know them really, really well before I write their story, and it helps me get their voice so that I can write their book. So, okay, one more question. Linda's asking, what clues did you leave that Serena was the mastermind? When we first meet her as the housekeeper in the gambling house in The Gentleman and the Thief, and she's like, oh, I'm so scared, I shouldn't be talking to you, we shouldn't be doing all of this, I'm gonna get in trouble. The like big bad guy shows up, and she doesn't get in trouble for it. She should have, but she doesn't. She then is randomly, the next time we see her, a totally different person. And no one bats an eye. There's no like mention of this former life that she had said that she was part of. She just happens to be present in a way that she probably shouldn't be. And if she's moving around that much, then like, how is it that the Mastiff actually has so much control over her? He kind of doesn't. In The Bachelor and the Bride, the fact that she leads them directly to the wall with all of the messages on it, and is out wandering on her own, but doesn't ever like really get in trouble for it. Like, there's just those little inconsistencies. Or writing to him directly, to Baz, saying, oh, I need to be moved to a different house, I'm scared. That is something that if someone was really in the situation she was in, she would probably send a message through someone else to avoid getting caught. So just little tiny hints here and there that the story she's telling about the danger she's in isn't actually accurate. And Emily asked, does the Mastiff know that Serena is the Tempest? Yes, he answers to her. It's mentioned in that final graveyard scene where they're like, why would someone kill him? Like, why did this happen? And she says, because he was no longer useful. And then talks about how the Mastiff adored her, just absolutely worshiped the ground she walked on. And that was super, super helpful for her. Like she was running it the whole time. He answered to her and she was pulling the strings. So yeah. Okay, so Tony picked up on that. She thought it was odd that she was always out and about and always showed up in places where these things were going down. Yeah, those were really the hints. And Lenny caught on to that too. She guessed that Serena probably was not being honest, but maybe that she was answering to the Mastiff instead of the one pulling the strings the whole time. So there you go. Okay, so we've hit an hour. You guys are troopers. There are some great spoilery discussions right there. Hopefully I answered at least some of your questions. And that you have a chance to think about them, get excited for the next book. All the questions I couldn't answer for you tonight, but hopefully will in the next one, right? Fingers crossed. All right, so watch my social media pages on Thursday. I'll post the prizes, both those I announced live and those I'm going to draw after the fact. Thank you again for joining us. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed the book. It's slightly different genre than I usually write, so it made me a little nervous, but I feel like it was very well received. So thank you, tons and tons. Watch for The Holly and the Ivy on Monday. And then The Best Intentions comes out the end of November. And Wyoming Wild is in March, along with the Fiction Kitchen cookbook. So fantastic. Thanks again for being here. Have a great night.